Shameless.
United in the Europa League. Europa League. We tell them one time and we say Europa League. Europa.
Yes, Manchester United 3, Bodø Glimt 2. Ruben Amorim gets a victory in his first game as the Manchester United head coach at Old Trafford. And I'm not going to go as far as to say smooth sailing or anything like that. It maybe wasn't totally, completely smooth sailing, but we got the job done. And that's the most important thing. I think Ruben Amorim did say that, didn't he, in his interview, saying that it wasn't going to be perfect. We were going to suffer, and suffer we did at points today. Get off to a fantastic start with the goal in, once again, under a minute, or is it under 2 minutes? Garnacho, it's a lot of work from Rasmus Hojlund. Garnacho taps it into an empty net. And then things are looking good for 15 minutes, aren't they? Things are looking good. Things are looking okay. And you're going, oh, actually, all right, cool. I guess things are... This is going to be good. This is going to be, created some chances in that period of time. All right. I think this is fine. And then, just like typical Man United, 2 goals conceded, 3 minutes, and we're like, what's happened? What's going on with United? And then I'm getting concerned. I'm getting nervous. Can we break them down? Bit of brilliance by Mazraoui. Goes in and out of a couple of players, puts the ball in the box, and Rasmus Hojlund. It's an absolute... beautiful, beautiful finish. Early in the second half, gets the goal, 3-2. And frankly, should have been much more after that. They have a free kick later on, one of the last kicks of the game. Onana makes the save. But by that point, we should have been completely out of the game. Missed opportunities from Garnacho and Rashford. A couple of crazy moments from Diogo Dalot after he came on. So it's a mixed bag, certainly, for Manchester United. But it's a bag that's got the W in it. And that's exactly what we needed, particularly with some big games coming up. Ruben Amorim spoke about just getting into kind of that winning mentality. And that's exactly what we need. But this is the full-time view where members can call in. They can have their say. If you do wish to become a member, you can do so. Links in the video description. It's also pinned in the chat. If you are a member and you want to call in, you can do so very, very easily. All you have to do is go over to the United View YouTube page, go over to the community tab, and you'll see the link there, exclusive for members only. Let's get straight into the calls this evening. Let's begin with Chatterboy Comics. Good evening, my friend, evening, or good afternoon. Yes. How did you find that game this today at Old Trafford? Ruben Amorim's first as the head coach at Old Trafford for United.
First as head coach at Old Trafford. I thought it was a entertaining game, and it was a game where there were a lot of positives to take from it, as well as reoccurrences of negative traits that we have as a team. But I generally like the overall performance, but I caveat what I'm about to say for the rest of this stream with it was Bodø Glimt. All right, let's not forget it was Bodø Glimt, and maybe better opposition finds a way to capitalize on our weaknesses a little bit better. But I did appreciate the intensity of our press to start the game, and generally the structure of the press. I think shout out has to go to Mazraoui, who for me was by far the man of the match, because his reading of the game was fantastic. He knew when to press. He knew when to cover. He was creative. I liked Ugate's performance in the press as well. And surprisingly, Anthony's off-the-ball work for the press structure, in addition to Mount. So that right side looked very solid, and I was very happy with that part of the game. I really enjoyed the fact that Hojlund got his goals today, because there was a lot of negativity that was surrounding his name of late. And I'm just sort of thinking, this guy's young. He's shown us he can score goals when put in position. So it's just a matter of coaching. I think that's what we just need to realize. He's a young guy who will take time to coach. He needs to make more movements in the box, but his finishing is up there. And then I would also like to, give a shout out to Ruben Amorim, because what we now know is that he is willing to experiment with his squad. And there were some things that I loved about the experimentation. And one I want to sort of highlight is Casemiro at central center-back. So I'm not necessarily saying that this is a long-term option because we don't know yet. But what was interesting is that when Casemiro plays in the back two as a center-back, it feels more like a stopgap. It's like a cover. But when he plays, as a 3, you're sort of thinking, oh, actually, I can see his value in possession and, how he's going to find, the passes, the long passes from deep. in a way like Inter Milan play, where they bring their center mids deeper to play those long passes. So there were some things that I liked about this performance overall. The bad things are our finishing and our final third decision making is still quite poor. So yeah, mixed bag, but I'm generally positive about this.
What do you think about Rasmus Hojlund up front? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about him. I still have some reservations of if he can be that guy. He's still very young, and I'm very much aware that, particularly with strikers, you really never know what you're going to get later on in their career, certainly. But it looks like I would think in that squad with Amorim's system, he should be the guy that starts up front. Mm-hmm. What do you make of him? Is it a case of, like people say, it's a lack of service? Tonight's an example of if you give him service, he can score goals. Are there elements of his play that he still needs to improve? What do you make of him?
Yeah, no, those are good questions. And I think we just have to remind ourselves that he's a young striker in the sense that you're given this mantle to be United's number 9, and you're not going to be able to compare to the Dwight Yorks, the Andy Coles, the Ruud van Nistelrooys at the moment because you just don't have the skill set. But what we need to put faith and stock in is the fact that he can score goals, and he has proven that he can, when fit and when firing, he can get those goals. You look at the Champions League last season, he was the top scorer for the longest time until, the end of the knockouts, where he finished, I think it was 3 off the top, right? And then he had that run where he was the youngest player to score consecutive goals. So he has shown us that he can actually put the ball in the back of the net. But it's not just as simple as saying he doesn't get service, because I have monitored his in-the-box movement and the runs he makes. And I've made this point before, but it still stands. He needs to make more double and triple movements. It feels like he only makes one single movement and then he's marked and then he sort of just stands in the box. He needs to be able to make that second movement and be able to sniff and anticipate the ball in the box. I feel like sometimes he's a bit late arriving to locations where the ball is, in our minds, obviously going to be played. So he definitely has room for improvement, but it's going to be a level of coaching. His hold-up play isn't always the most secure. So he needs to, again, these are all coaching aspects that can come. But what I don't want us to do is to, because confidence is a striker's drug. As a fan base, we should be supporting him. Now, obviously, if he's not doing the business, there are people who are going to come in for him. And that also goes to the wider squad. I think what we have now is competition for places. And so the level has to come up. So I think with Hojlund, it's going to be a work in progress, but he has given me the faith that I know he can finish. And strikers need to be able to know how to finish. It's just going to take some time. There'll be ups and downs, but I have faith in what he's going to do under Amorim.
And finally, just on Mazraoui, is he the signing of the season? Not just for us, just in general. Is there a signing out there that's better value for money than him at this point?
It's difficult to say. Maybe, I don't know if you say Baleba from Brighton has looked really, really good. But in terms of the top teams, for the price, for the value, the intelligence of this guy, the composure, the mentality, he is a phenomenal player. And for me, he's the first team on the team sheet, right? And what was interesting is when Ahmad came in on the right-hand side and Mazraoui, on every counter attack, I just said, we're going to win the ball back. Like there was a level of assuredness and calm that came from the fact that you have a dog in Ahmad who's going to hound you and Mazraoui who's going to read the play. They're both very elite at that. So I'm over the moon. My only reservation for Mazraoui when he was first coming in was not about his talent, was just about, is he going to stay fit for the long term? And if he can keep his fitness up, I think we have a squad that can compete when everyone is playing at that high level. So I'm overall very pleased with Mazraoui's performance. Hope he can take this into the Everton game. He's going to be tested a lot because they put a lot of crosses in the box, and maybe we'll see a little bit of a weakness there, but who knows? He's just going from leaps and bounds, and couldn't be happier with him. So onwards and upwards from here.
Onwards and upwards indeed. Big up Chalaboy Comics. Be sure to click the like button if you haven't already. We've got over 500 people watching. We're still under 100 likes if you haven't already clicked the like button. Let's get to another call quickly. Uncle, no more war stories. Are we past the war stories now? Is the blood pressure back to where it needs to be? Talk to me.
Well, after Ten Hag left,
Look at his
we
picture.
left the war stories. Well, I still play good football. Forget about what you see. It's not about the body. I play very good. At least I play. I play better than Bruno Fernandes in the midfield. So don't judge me by the body.
But what did you make of what you saw this evening?
Well, there are so many things to pick out of this game. From the back going forward, Onana is proving his worth. With every game. I hear one or two people are trying to downplay his performance. People were saying the one outside the box was a handball, but because it wasn't a red card, they didn't go back to check it, and so it's an obvious goal scoring chance because it was Onana versus the striker. So if it was a handball, Onana could have been sent off. So they could have gone back to check VAR if they wanted to, but it wasn't because he hit his leg first. Uh, but yes, our defense. I think overall the three that played at the back did okay. It's funny how we ended the game with no actual centre back on the field. We played two full backs and one defensive midfielder
Yeah.
in the center and the three back positions. Uh, they did well. Mazraoui, I mean, I would leave it for others to say because at this point the man is just he's I don't know. Sometimes when you say you didn't pay enough for a player, this is it. The Mazraoui is the if somehow this is all Mazraoui is going to give us this season, he has done more than enough for how
Yeah.
much we paid for him.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, fantastic player, very fantastic. Delict, the leader, he has his flaws every now and then, but going into the balls and going into tackles, very good. Uh, for the wing backs, I don't really fancy Anthony in that position. You know,
I agree.
Anthony, yeah, I don't fancy him in that position. For Malacia, I think apart from that goal, he didn't do bad. My one problem with him was, I think, by the end of the first half, the Bodø Glimt players were confident that Malaysia would never cross the ball. He would never cross. So they would give him all the space out wide because they knew he wasn't going to cross. If it was Trent or Robertson that was in those positions, they wouldn't give them half that space because they will whip that ball into the box and they know that somebody is going to receive it. So I felt he could have done more with the space that he had out wide. And I said at the beginning of the stream that Bruno is not an Amorim 10, and
Yes.
I
Yes,
think
you did. Yeah.
he's even struggling to be an Amorim 8. So when you watch the way Amorim plays, he's in Sporting. One of the tens is an inverted winger, and the other 10 is someone who is good with driving with the ball. The ball at his feet, you drive with it, and then you're also good at pressing. Bruno is not good at driving with the ball. He's good at passing. He's good at creating chances. He's not a driver, and definitely with the way Mount was pressing in that first half, Bruno, it's a more coordinated press than what Bruno would have given us. So I hope Bruno can do well in the eight, but if he doesn't, I think that 10 position, I don't see him going back there anytime soon.
And with Rasmus Hojlund, what do you make of him? Got his goals this evening. Is he the number 9 for us this season? Do we have any other options there, or is it just going to be him under Amorim, you think?
When KG asked to put coins in his channel,
Yes, the Kev
I
coins.
gave Rasmus 25 coins. That was how confident I was that Rasmus was going to shine in Amorim setup. I gave Rasmus 25 coins. Rasmus has the qualities. He just needs better service. Big strikers will miss chances. That is for sure. You know, they will miss chances, they will score chances. But Rasmus has shown us in seasons past, at least in the past season, he can run with the ball and score. He can do tap-ins. He can left foot, right foot. You know, the ball control for his equalizer, fantastic. For the equalizing goal, fantastic. You know, to tackle the keeper for the first goal, good press from the front. You know, and the first time finish for the third goal. So he played a part in every goal, and even in the 9 minutes of the game, you could see him winning fouls with the ball. You know, forcing the Bodø Glimt players to foul him. I don't know that, at least for this game. Obviously, it's the beginning, and there is not a we can't take so much out of just a couple of games. But I know I mentioned that the only reason Rashford played as a striker in the first game was because Rasmus was on international break. And Rashford is not the striker that we need. Rasmus will deliver. Just trust him. Trust him. Rasmus is my boy. Rasmus is my boy. I know Rasmus. He will deliver. Don't worry.
Uncle knows him. Uncle's got the personal Rasmus relationship. He knows him. He's his boy. He will deliver. And tonight he did. When has Uncle ever steered us wrong? The other thing I can't believe, those pissing Kev coins have infected the UV community. They've infected the reckless delegation. Those Kev coins, they're everywhere. It's like when you look down the back of a sofa and you find a quid, you find a Kev coin. They're non-stop. The Kev coin, everyone seemingly has invested Kev coins in something. At this point, I'm not going to be shocked if he does actually release like a cryptocurrency. The biggest bunch of bullshit. Kev's big head says, or KG's big head says, Mazraoui is extremely competent. Absolute baller. One of my favorite new accounts, KG's big head, coming out of the match feed. Yeah, there's quite a few of them. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Amador. Amador, you didn't go to the game. Do you regret it that you didn't go now?
Yeah, yes, I do. But it was cold, so I was thinking of I could watch it here.
Get rid of him. It's cold. It was cold. It was too cold. It was too cold for Amador. Too cold to go watch Man United. Disgraceful. He's on thin ice now. He's on thin ice. Amador, you're back.
But I enjoyed your company and KG's company watching the stream. So that
very
was
good. Very good. Very good. Very good.
I'm getting tired. You're probably tired. But I just want to make a couple of points, Owen, if that's all right. I want you to consider something for me. I felt like, even though when it was 2-2, did you feel comfort? I felt for the first time they were going to win, even when it was 2-2, because it was just a feeling I had because of the way they play. So I don't know what you think, Owen, but we've not talked about the manager here, actually. We've talked about all the players, but we've got to give credit to the manager here. Within the 2 games, you can see he's got, I know he's talking about then putting systems in, but even when we were losing with 2-1, he changed the system. Robbie Savage, who I hate as a commentator, he even picked up on this. Yeah. Remember he said he was changing to 4-2-3-1 off the ball or something, 4-3-3-4-3, whatever. He was irritating me, but you could see the tactical changes he was making during the game, the in-game management. And I don't think anybody in the UV community sort of picked up on that. Yes, we should laud the players like Mazraoui, Erasmus, 100%. I get that. But we've got to give that same energy and love to the manager as well, because he made me feel at ease. Even though we were 2-1 down, Owen, I felt we're 2-1 down, but I think we're going to come back because I could see what we're trying to do. So
he's definitely reactive in a good way, I think.
Yeah.
He doesn't wait too long. I do agree, again, through gritted teeth somewhat with what Robbie Savage was saying, in the sense of he had clearly made changes, some tactical changes at halftime. Definitely that worked. And we kind of saw that at the weekend, to be fair, against Ipswich, simply where it was subs 55 minutes, 65 minutes. He made changes very quickly. And I think he does deserve credit for that. And I think, to be honest, knowing these players and watching these players quite a lot, he's going to have to do that quite a bit because these guys are very unpredictable. They're not consistent. And he's going to have to be... Remember Jose said, when he said about Luke Shaw, he's using my brain to play. I feel like he's going to have to do that for quite a few of the players, actually, of like influence the game as much as he possibly can from the touchline to get a result, because some of these players are just, you never know what you're going to get, basically.
Yeah, and I've seen other fan channels, Side TV in particular. Some members of Side TV have said, for example, I want your view on this, Owen, that it's better for us to be out of Europe so we can play one game a week so we can coach the team. But my view is, and I would love to hear your view, is that it's better to be in Europe, and the best way to learn is to be in playing real matches and learning through the job. So I don't know what your views are on that point.
I think that, I know that people can say about, whether or not we'd be ready for the Champions League next season or anything like that. Our best chance of getting into the Champions League, whether we're ready for it or not, I'm talking just financially, and to actually develop forward, is the Europa League. Watching again against Ipswich and against Bodø Glimt tonight, our best opportunity is something we've done in the last few years, is a cup competition. That's all we've got. And I do agree with you too, in the sense of what we did see under Erik ten Hag is that if you play in all these cup competitions and you can win, that breeding that winning feeling can send you up the table too. So I would disagree with the sentiment that we should be out of Europe, because be careful what you wish for with that, because that can then turn into not being in Europe for a couple of years. But we're playing once a week and it's fine. No, you got to play consistently, I think. What did you make of Rasmus Hojlund? Got his 2 goals tonight. Is he the option for Ruben Amorim in the 9? Do you think?
I think he's our only option, really, to be honest, as a number 9. We have a 9.5. It's strange that he didn't bring Xerxes on at all. He's trying to build up. We've said in the past that defensively we're okay, sort of. It's the issue in attacking. So if that's the case, knowing that the way the game's going, you would have thought bring Xerxes on for 20 minutes or so to build his confidence, but he didn't do that. So I wonder whether Xerxes potentially is one of Amorim's first casualties of the new system. So Hojlund, he's done well. He deserved the respect for today. But there's one player I do want to sort of mention that we mustn't forget. Rashford came on, and I know we were winning, but again, he's just body language, Owen. I don't know if that intensity is not there. I don't know what more the manager can do.
I don't know where he fits. I spoke about this a lot this morning. Is he a striker? Isn't he a striker? What have you? Amorim said in the press conference that wasn't the best position for him. Came on in the 10. Yeah, it's later in the game. Doesn't have a full run at it, but he's not a 10. I don't think he's a 10. So it's going to be interesting to see where he fits. And if he doesn't fit, which he might not do, then what does Amorim do? Does he just start leaving him out? Does he just become, a bench player? In fairness, if he had got maybe some of the opportunities that Garnacho got in the second half, I probably maybe would have fancied him to get him on target, at least the Garnacho ones. But he missed a chance of his own as well. So I don't know. I don't know the answer with Marcus Rashford. I really don't. And I think that's a question that Ruben Amorim's trying to figure out as well.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And it makes sense for us to sell him in the summer, not just because he's not playing well for us. It'll be a pure profit sale. He's an academy product. So we shouldn't be afraid of selling him. And if we're going to sell players, I'm going to sell players like him and Xerxes. There are other players that should be joining that. But I'm actually looking forward to games now. I'll be honest with you. Under Erik ten Hag, I was not looking forward to games. I'm looking forward to the Everton game this weekend. And just to see who he chooses in the midfield and in the front. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Big up, Amanor. Appreciate you as always. Super chat here from KG's Big Ed. It says a lot that we came back into the game. Our biggest problem is just not being able to hold, but it's head dropping. There's a lot of head stuff there, isn't there? With KG's big head. A bit of an obsession. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Sean. Sean, what did you make of Ruben Amorim's debut at Old Trafford this evening?
I think the gaffer described it very well himself, where there were good moments, there were problematic moments. There was a bit of a confusion at the end. But overall, I think what we as fans have always wanted from United, having been a supporter for this long, is we have always wanted patterns of play. We always wanted a set style where we know exactly what most players on the pitch are doing. And Owen, we have to understand that this is not the 90s anymore. This is a time where fans are they can take advantage of a lot of materials. I think the average fan now is much more knowledgeable than the fans used to be back in the day. So to have them, rather the majority of them, apart from a vocal stupid minority, be in general happy with the play today is I think a big positive for Ruben's first game, and it will only get better. There's no doubt about that, because again, I mean, look, people can talk about it being a false dawn, but I think we all see that there are signs here for a very, very wonderful future. Obviously, there are a lot of improvements to be done, and I'm sure we all will talk about it in the days and months to come. But as a start, I mean, even in the Ipswich game, I felt that there was a pattern. There was a way that you would know that Man United were going to play. And there would be tweaks. Of course, there would be in any managerial setup. But the strength of the template is very important. I think the strength of the template was shown today.
What do you make of Bruno Fernandes? He played a deeper role this evening, played in the 8 as opposed to the 10. Is that something you think he can do? Or do you think we're going to see Amorim put him back into a 10 moving forward?
I think I looked at Ruben's post-match interviews, and he said that one of the reasons he put him there was because obviously of Bruno's experience and the fact that he can hold the ball up pretty well. I don't necessarily, I mean, we are nobody to question the manager at this moment in time, but I don't necessarily accept that. I think Bruno is the better every meter he is closer to the goal. It's as simple as that. He needs to be closer to the action. I mean, I look at Pedro Gonçalves, and what he was doing at Sporting is as literally the same jersey that Bruno is wearing. And I think Bruno can play that role pretty well. One of the reasons I think he decided to use Mason Mount was because both of Glimt are no pushovers. I mean, I wanted to say this before when Chalobah was talking, but Owen, let's remember this is a team that has not only beaten Braga, but has also beaten Porto, even while being down by 10 men. This is a well-coached team, and they clearly know what they're doing. So I wasn't really sure about that decision. I think going forward, he's obviously going to be the supporting striker, if you will, the sort of inside 10 in a formation where the other quote-unquote 10 is more of like an inverted winger who would, bypass the line and really use their pace, where with Bruno, the way the wing... I would say the wide midfielders, I don't necessarily want to call them wing backs, but the wide midfielders are placed in Amorim's system. It really makes sense that Bruno would use his short and long passing ability. And look, Ruben mentioned it before. He doesn't really like Bruno taking a lot of long passes. I think he mentioned it at the end of the Ipswich game. And I think he prefers Bruno taking those shorter passes. I think today was an aberration. In general, he's probably going to play that 10 role. And I think Mason Mount would be a very good backup for that. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. This is America. But in general, I think Bruno's role would be much more forward. I think today he wanted more control in the midfield. Maybe he saw that Bodø Glimt were kind of playing 2-3-8 in the midfield and decided that Bruno being there would add an extra body. But I don't think that's the long-term plan at all.
And Rasmus Hojlund gets the player of the match, man of the match today, gets his goals. I was talking to KG about this on the stream. Do you think part of the problem is a lack of service with him? Do you think part of the problem is just the fact that he's our only real out-and-out number 9? What did you make of his performance tonight? And what did you make of maybe some of the criticisms about him?
Oh, and to be honest, I've never really understood the criticism about Rasmus. I mean, let's put it into context. When Victor Gyökeres was Rasmus's age, he was playing for St. Pauli, and he was also playing for Swansea City, where he wasn't really scoring at all. So we have to put it into perspective. Rasmus is only 21. And even at age 21, the traits of a centre forward are very well developed in him already. I'm not just talking about the finishing. I'm talking about the runs that he makes, not just the second run, but also the diagonal runs that he makes, which kind of takes defenders away from the field of play and really gives a lot of space to the number 10s. It's kind of what Gyökeres does in general. And I think the cutback that Ugarte did for Rasmus to get a second goal was very emblematic of the kind of goals that we probably would expect Rasmus to score now, because now he's in a system, and I think he mentioned it after the game as well, he's in a system kind of like what he was playing at Atalanta, where it was Gasperini's 3-4-3, which also places a lot of emphasis on getting service to the forward. And look, I think he's a very, very promising young striker. I've always been a fan of him. Obviously, there are rough traits to his game, and that's quite normal when you're a 21-year-old centre forward. But he has everything to become a top quality modern day centre forward, where it's not just about being tall and putting in the the tap-ins, but it's also about not just holding up the play, but running the channels. Because if you have a forward that's running the channel in Ruben Amorim's system, that gives not just the 10s a lot of space, that gives the marauding 8 in that midfield duo a lot of space. It gives the wing midfielders a lot of space. It really helps the team in general when you're pressing from the front the way Rasmus is. So I expect him to get even better. I mean, there's going to be a really proper upward turn in his trajectory, not just for this season, but also for the seasons to come. And he can be our true number 9. You know, I think he's already scored as many goals as Cavani did when he was in United. And if you can achieve even a quarter of what Edinson Cavani has achieved in his career, that would be a milestone in itself. So I'm not worried about Rasmus at all. I think there are much bigger problems in the team than him. I would more be worried about who's going to play with/without him, because I mean, in Sporting, Ruben Amorim used Paulinho, this particular player, as a bit of a supporting striker who would come in for Gyökeres and, you know, sort of be a foil to him. And maybe Zirkzee can play that role. I certainly don't see Marcus Rashford doing that at all. He does not possess any of the qualities, but it required for a number 9 in his system. But Zirkzee might play a role. But look, we need to get somebody as somebody who would be a backup to Rasmus, maybe a more experienced striker who's maybe at the twilight of his career. That would really help Rasmus's development as well. But there's no doubt about Rasmus. For me, he's a fantastic young player, and he's going to get better. So will Garner, so will Kobe, so will Ahmad. The young core will definitely get better under Ruben. That's one of the many positive things about him being our manager.
Big up, Sean. Appreciate you, as always, calling in. Well, there you go, guys. If you haven't already, click the like button. Where are we at? We've got over 600 people watching. Let's see if we can get to 250, 300 likes on the way out. A short, sharp, sweet. Easy for me to say. It's late. Edition of the full-time view. A reminder, be sure to check out the fan views. Flex from inside Old Trafford. KG will be coming up soon. The aftermath of KG and myself will also be coming up tomorrow, 9 a.m. We'll have the morning view. Flex, maybe. Depends what time he gets back tonight. And myself. We'll also have the Trinity. The Trinity will be back for a brand new episode. Flex, KG, and myself, to discuss the latest Manchester United news. So you know what to do. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.